Most planes that land on aircraft carriers deliver firepower. These delivered hope. Sealed in canvas mailbags, packed in spare parts, crated in coffee tins and guitar cases. And if you ever served on a U.S. Navy carrier anytime from the Cold War to Iraq, you already know their names. The Grumman C-1 trader, and its bigger, turbine-breathing successor, the C2 Greyhound. They weren't pretty, they weren't famous, but without them, carriers would have been nothing more than lonely islands in a very big ocean. I'm Bill, and this is Buffalo Air Park. Let's dive in. Out at sea, a carrier strike group feels untouchable. Sleek jets, catapults, radar domes glowing in the sun. But after a few days in blue water, reality sets in. Jets need parts, crews need fuel, captains need orders, and sailors, God bless them, need mail from home. That mission had a name, COD, Carrier Onboard Delivery, and no American carrier stayed alive without it. Before the Greyhound ever touched a flight deck, the job belonged to a little piston-powered mule called the Grumman C1 trader. The trader, the first lifeline. Born in 1955 as a TF-1, the trader was a practical-minded conversion of the S-2 Tracker anti-submarine aircraft. Same fuselage, same folding wings, but instead of hunting Soviet submarines, this bird hunted overdue packages and fresh coffee. Powered by two Wright R-1820 Cyclone radial engines, each coughing out about 1,525 horsepower, the trader was stubborn, loud, and allergic to luxury. A reporter once called it a gasoline-guzzling puddle jumper with the creature comforts of an outhouse. Fair, but nobody on a carrier ever complained because the trader brought the mail. Crew said it had the most powerful landing gear in naval aviation because every time it landed, an entire carrier waited at the back of the flight deck like it was Christmas morning. It carried just 9 passengers, or a little over 3,500 pounds of cargo, but it hauled morale by the ton. From the Cuban Missile Crisis to Vietnam, the trader just didn't deliver parts, it delivered good news, bad news, and little pieces of home. Fun fact, the C-1A became the last piston-engine aircraft to operate from U.S. Navy carriers. The end of an era, and the start of something faster. Enter the Greyhound, the big upgrade. By the late 1960s, the Navy needed something bigger, with more range and fewer oil stains, so Grumman reached into the family tree again. Instead of converting the S-2 Tracker, they went upscale, this time borrowing DNA from the E-2 Hawkeye. The result? The Grumman C2 Greyhound, a purpose-built COD machine. With twin Allison T56A 425 turboprop engines producing 4,600 shaft horsepower each, the Greyhound wasn't just quicker, it could drag half a warehouse behind it. Top speed, 343 knots, nearly 100 knots faster than the trader. Cargo capacity? Forget about it, 10,000 pounds, including full jet engines and crates. Passenger load jumped from 9 to 26 personnel, or 28 if you didn't care about your knees. And instead of side doors and awkward cargo gymnastics, the C2 got something beautiful, a rear cargo ramp, finally giving COD aircraft the dignity of loading like a real transport. And here's the detail I love. Look at the tail. 4 vertical stabilizers. Not a design flex, a height restriction problem. The Greyhound had to fit on a carrier hangar deck, and if the tail was any taller, it would have scraped the ceiling. So Grumman engineers split the tail into 4 smaller fins. Genius. The workhorse nobody saw coming. The C2 entered service in 1966 and immediately took over the fleet's daily lifeline work. It flew during the Cold War, Desert Storm, Afghanistan, you name it. It didn't do air shows, it didn't get posters, but it kept the lights on. Its nickname? The Fleet Angel, and the unsung hero of the high seas. The Navy eventually upgraded them under SLEP, the Service Life Extension Program, or SLEP, stretching life to 36,000 flight hours and 15,000 carrier landings. but nothing lasts forever. The changing of the guard. The Navy is now retiring the C2 in favor of the CMV-22B Osprey tilt rotor. Faster point-to-point delivery, no catapult needed, no arresting wire. On paper, the perfect replacement. Then came 2023. After a serious mishap, the entire Osprey fleet was grounded. Suddenly, the only thing keeping Carrier's logistics alive was one last C2 squadron, the VRC-40, the Rawhides. Those crews flew their old Greyhounds harder than ever. 8-hour missions, triple-digit heat, zero air conditioning, leaks, and aging systems held together by stubbornness and safety wire. But they kept the fleet alive. Until the very end, the Greyhound never quit. The trader made its final Navy flight in 1988. The Greyhound will fly its last by 2028. And when both are finally gone, something bigger than an aircraft will disappear. The era of mail planes landing on carriers. The C-1 trader brought humanity to the sea. The C2 Greyhound industrialized it. Together, they didn't just connect ships to shore, they connected sailors to home. These weren't glamorous airplanes. They didn't drop bombs. They dropped handwritten letters from someone who cared. And at sea, that was worth more than ammunition. And that wraps up another tale from aviation's stranger side. Until next time, keep your eyes on the skies